Streaming has been clicked.
Alrighty.
And I see it.
We're getting... wait till we see it.
Yeah. Hold on. Give it a sec. Okay. I am seeing it in the
I
YouTube
see it.
creator.
We are good.
We are live. And we're live.
All right. Getting hot and steamy today on... Hello, and welcome to another episode of Press B to Cancel. I'm your host, Warewulff. I am joined by the wonderful Sinistar77 and Chardmonk. How you guys doing?
Swell.
Hello. But the swelling will go down.
Will it?
That's what the doctor says anyway.
I've been waiting a long time.
As long as it's swell, who cares?
Today, we are talking about an industry milestone. Steam just turned 20 years old. When it came out, seriously, when it came out, it was just a method of DRM, and now it is uttered in the same sentences as PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo Switch. So,
indeed,
there's a gaming platform in its own right.
Steam is amazeballs. I love Steam. I think this is a great episode. I'm excited for this.
To be honest, it's kind of I know that we'll talk about other launchers, but it is really the launcher for PC games. Really. I mean, let's be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You're not wrong. I mean, what else has it done? It's created gaming periphery. It's the best VR kit that's out there right now was created by them. The Steam Deck. I mean, we'll cover that today. All three of us have fucking Steam Decks and we all swear by it. So, I mean, you know, what else? What can't this thing do?
I mean, really,
it makes Julian fries.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to think about it, you know, Valve, who makes Steam, but Valve started out as a gaming company. What are they today? They're a launcher and a hardware company, right? I mean, to be honest.
And maybe not all three of us agree with this, but one of the best first-person shooter games was created by Valve.
You know what? They can't even count to 3.
They don't need to count to 3. They counted to Alex, and that's as far as it needed to go.
Wait, they can count to 2.1 or 2.2. I don't remember how many sub.
2.2.
Yeah. So they can count to 2.2. You know,
that's safe.
Yeah.
Safe.
You know, I know that we're touching on it. Let's talk about it. Half-Life. Half-Life is an absolutely epic first-person game. I know we said shooter, and it has shooting aspects, but I'm really going to call it a first-person game altogether because there's puzzles, there's horror, there's shooter, there's, you know, but as much as I would absolutely love to have episode 3 and the answer to what happened at the end, as much as I would love that, it's really weird at this point. I even play episode 2 or Half-Life 2. Sorry, I play Half-Life 2 and I'm like, yeah, I'd like to know what happened, but that was an amazing game and I'm good. Like, I'm kind of
right. Half-Life is just, this isn't a Half-Life episode, so we shouldn't gush about it too much, but sure. I mean, Half-Life was one of the first games that did, like, I don't know, didn't they do facial digitization where you could actually see facial expression, and they started kind of really getting into the physics engine of, you know, gravity and being able to pick stuff up and throw it and all that stuff. I specifically remember Half-Life 2. That was my, like, big draw to that game, was all the cool technological advancements in 2005-ish, 2003-ish, whenever it was released, it came out. That's huge. And I played Half-Life,
the
first one, for fucking years.
So really, Valve is a physics game company.
Yes.
Because Half-Life 2 had the physics and everything in it, and then Portal.
Right.
I mean, if you want to talk about one of the coolest physics games ever, Portal 1 and 2. And as much as I love Portal 1, and as much as there are games where you're like, number 1's the best ever, number 2 came out, it was okay, it was still good. Portal 2 took Portal 1 and basically said, hold my beer. Portal 2 is an amazing game.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. So, anyway, we're getting off on tangents.
Yeah, let's take a step back to the beginning.
Yeah.
In 2002, Valve announced their upcoming distribution platform. I guess you could. That's what it is now, anyway. At the time, I don't think that's what it was. It wasn't that when it released. It was a method of DRM at the time, right?
Right.
Mm.
So it released in 2003, September 12th. So we're literally just a couple days past that 20th anniversary. And it was DRM for what is it? I am not sure, honestly. But it was a handful of games. The first game to be digitally offered on the platform, though, was Half-Life 2, November 2004. So it took about a year.
Not 1, but number 2.
Yeah, 2.
Yeah, it took about a year for it to be the first digital distribution game that they offered. So there's that. But it wasn't until 2005 that they started reaching out to third-party developers to release their games on Steam as well. So they took the ball real quick and ran with it. They were just ahead of the curve as far as PC digital distribution goes. And
I felt like Valve was in front of everything, like early on, before anything. And I guess this is kind of a gush episode about Valve and Steam and all its stuff that it makes, but it always feels like Valve is just I wouldn't say miles, but just slightly in front of the rest of the competition when it comes to, the digital content of release and sells, their peripherals that they're coming out with, and the new stuff that they're trying to bring to the market. I mean, how many other computer-based handheld gaming devices are out there that
everybody's
that
a copy
with the Steam Deck? That's like 2, right?
Everybody's a copy, right?
There's 3 or 4 now, I believe. The ROG Ally, you've got Lenovo,
right.
You've got
but they're all
ROG.
The ROG came out after.
But it was slightly after, and it's like the closest thing in its competition to the Steam Deck itself.
And it runs for I've looked at reviews because I have the Steam Deck and I'm always interested in hardware. I'm a hardware guy. And while the ROG Ally has better, specs, it runs Windows. And what's funny is all of the enhancements that that Valve has made for the gaming, systems, right? Like they Proton, all of these things that they do amazing work on. Everything I have heard is, the ROG runs great, the ROG Ally runs great, but the battery's dead at half the time. Like, where Steam is like, okay, we're going to find that sweet spot where, you may challenge to push past 30 FPS. Now, for those that don't have Steam Decks, 30 FPS plays great at 800p. It does.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
And so, the ROG is like, hey, we get 60 FPS and half the battery, right?
Right.
And so, yeah.
And let's not put it on a total pedestal. If you're playing Baldur's Gate 3 or, I don't know, a newer version game that takes a lot of power to run, your battery is going to be dead in maybe 2 hours
for sure.
or less. But if you're playing, say, Half-Life 2 or a retro-inspired game like the new Sea of Stars or The Messenger, since we're on that vein.
Or my casual game, Slay the Spire, right? I get 4 hours out of it.
That's chill, Binding of Isaac, Into the Gungeon, all that stuff. You can get, like you said, 4 to 5 hours out of that bad boy because it's running on minimal stuff.
Yeah, I didn't have to charge for Vampire Survivors, but like every other day or something.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I think when I went
good for a cruise.
when I went
Real
and
good for
visited when I went and visited Chard and Rogue, I remember we were playing tons of Vampire Survivors, tons of Time Wasters, and yeah,
Yes.
I think I charged it once a day. Like,
Yeah.
If
that. Yeah. When you were done with the day, you charged it up, but it was still at like at least 30%. You could still easily keep going.
And I remember because you had that janky outlet.
Yes, the broken outlet in my front room. We don't have that anymore. It's gone now.
So cycling back though. So I want to talk a little bit. So you bring up Half-Life 2 was the first offering, and it was a DRM platform. And this is something I wanted to touch on because one of my biggest complaints about physical PC games, physical computer games, was the 80 different DRM platforms that people could use in their games. And all of them had issues, whether it was you scratched your CD the wrong way and now the DRM is like, nope, not an original CD, sorry. Or, all of a sudden the DRM is consuming all of your RAM or, et cetera. And so I always said I hated DRM. And even if I physically owned the physical copy of the game, I would go find the cracks. I would go find the cracks to take out the DRM. Yeah. First off, because then I didn't have to go to my wall, bingo, and pull out
the disc.
And pull out the disc and plug it into the drive and blah, 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 right? First and foremost, but second, I didn't have to worry about some piece of crap DRM software running in the background and doing, who knows what. And so I always said for a very long time, if somebody can get DRM right, I will buy in. I will buy in. And at least until recently, and we can talk about this, but at least until recently, Steam afforded that luxury, right? Like it validated that you had a Steam account, you were the one playing the game, just go, right? Mm-hmm. Now we can talk about more in a minute, like the fact that Steam is now letting other, manufacturers put launchers inside of Steam and other DRM inside of Steam. But, I it was kind of refreshing. Oh, I don't worry about it anymore, right?
Right.
So,
and yeah, like to a degree, I feel like Valve still kind of is a form of DRM.
Sure.
It's not necessarily the most effective DRM, aside from, you want a game on an account. You've got an account loaded with tons of games already. That's probably where you want your games to be, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Steam does make it easy to bring in, like, if you got games in Epic or GOG or whatever, you could just be like, well, I want to access it from my Steam library. Sure, go ahead. You got it. They let you do that. I love that about Steam. It's very customizable. It's very user-friendly. It's very accessible, right?
Right.
But yeah, I do feel like the excessive DRMs can be a problem. Like, I don't play a whole lot of Ubisoft games because Ubisoft is like, wait. wait, hold on one more time. Okay, you're good.
Yeah, and hang on, Secure ROM's gonna run over here. Hold on.
Yeah. Don't worry about it.
So I do wish, just like, if you're selling a game on Steam, let Steam do its thing.
Absolutely.
It's already verifying for you.
Absolutely.
All you're doing now, and this is a problem in the industry that probably could warrant its own whole discussion, but punishing the consumer, right? You're punishing the people who are actually giving you money.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Which doesn't make sense to me, but.
Well, and funny enough, because we're talking a little bit DRM, a little bit Steam, I have driven a lot of my purchases specifically toward, GOG.com, because GOG.com has a requirement that there is no DRM in any product that they sell, right? And they get a lot of the AAA. They don't get all of them because, funny enough, the latest Assassin's Creed isn't making it on there because, Ubisoft.
Right.
But they want their DRM.
Yeah. But but any other, like my Witcher games, I don't know if I should admit this on YouTube, but I might as well. My kids install my copy of Witcher 3, right? Because, but it's in the same, it's in the same household, right? But
instant cred loss.
I go to GOG.com, I go download the installer, I say, hey kids, here you go, and go play, right?
To me, that makes sense though, because I mean, think of it in terms of you have a cartridge in your house, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's
absolutely.
say I've got a Genesis in one room and a Genesis in another room back in the 90s, right?
Mm-hmm.
Probably not super common, but I mean, the idea is you can take the whole damn platform from one room to another without much issue. It's a little harder to move a PC from one room to the next these days, especially if it's a dedicated gaming PC or something, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
But it's like making it impossible to play let multiple people have access to one game in the same household is a little tricky. And I do like that Steam actually kind of accounts for that to a degree.
Yeah, they have the shared library thing, right?
Right. And it's allowable as long as you're not actively using a game from your library. One of the people that you've allowed can. And it's generally like you have to log into that computer, give it your credentials, and be like, yes, I okay this machine to access my library. So it expects that, you know, they may not necessarily be in the same household, but at least you've logged into the machine, you've given it the okay, it's good to go.
Yeah,
I think that's one of the greatest aspects about Steam in within itself is the ability to play it anywhere.
Yeah,
anywhere you go, you log in, your library is accessible. And when the Steam Deck came out, I was like, that's weird. But you could take the Steam Deck with an adapter, with a hookup, and hook it up to your TV with a Bluetooth controller and play your computer games on your Steam Deck downstairs.
Or in my case, I have my gaming computer, which we're talking on right now, but I have a laptop that is not a gaming machine, but you know what? It plays Slay the Spire fine. It plays Undermine fine, you know, etc. And hey, when I'm sitting on the couch and I want to spin up Slay the Spire, guess what? I have Steam on it, right?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So the accessibility with this program, it's my dad has a saying. We're going to just say this right now. My dad has a saying about motorcycles. He says the reason motorcycles are so terrifying is because they're so easy to ride. Steam is so terrifying because it's so easy to just blindly spend money on this thing.
Oh my gosh.
And not even think about it for anything. I don't know how many Steam sales I've gone into being like, I'll spend like $30 and I'll walk away with $200 spent, but I have more than 1,000 games to mess with, and I am overly inundated with shit to play. It's ridiculous.
Okay, that leads into a segue that I want to talk about, whether now or just in just a minute. But one thing Steam has caused me is analysis paralysis when it comes to playing games, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So I want to talk about that. So if we want to talk about that in a minute, cool. But I want to bring it up and say, let's talk about it, or we can talk about it now. But
that's kind of the segue, you know. I mean, go ahead, Wolf.
Yeah.
I do think before we get to the analysis paralysis, it's a good point to talk about, you know, just the general accessibility of obtaining games for Steam.
Oh yeah. Well, and from so many aspects. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's like tons of aspects. There's if you've been in the gaming space online, even marginally over the last decade, you've probably seen memes online with a dude whose face you may not recognize wearing glasses, looks kind of like a chunky Waldo, with a crown and a scepter and like percentages falling around him, called Gaben. If you're not super familiar with who that is Gabe Newell, the owner and founder of Valve.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And so that's him, you know, his benevolence bestowing cheap games upon the masses. That's what it is.
Yeah.
You know,
and
go ahead. Sinster says she doesn't hear us. Jake, can you hear? Oh, Jake definitely can.
Jake was hearing us. He was responding.
He was responding to us. So yeah.
Let me see.
Yeah, you check on us.
Yeah, I hear us.
Okay.
I just tested it. So
yeah.
So yeah, like there's that, but then I want to say around 2010, 2011, I think is when bundle sites came on the scene, right? So Humble Bundle was really the first one that really did it. There was another one that I don't remember the name of that's gone under since then. Started with a D, that's all I remember. But
I remember what you're talking about. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
yeah, so those were the only two in the space for quite some time, and Humble Bundle was like stupid cheap.
Oh, Humble Bundle was one of the coolest things ever, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember, and they sold. And before they sold, it literally was, hey, this cool charity with this cool thing and this cool bundle. And like, you can go get, I have so many games. This is what we're talking about, right? But like, and I could be like, I'm going to spend $10 and I'm going to give $9.50 to the charity and I'm going to get 20 games. Anyway, go ahead.
Right.
Yeah. So that's how most of my library has been acquired, is inexpensive bundles.
Right.
And it's
yeah, we're gonna talk. This is good. Talk about how much
we can segue to library size and then talk about the analysis paralysis.
Do I need to really pull up my library?
Go for
it. Before we do that, like, we're having some technical issues seeing what Chards is, but we've got approximate values to our accounts that we've figured out.
Yeah, there's
like, this is being super generous with like, full time, like full price, sticker price kind of things.
Yeah.
So this is nowhere near what I have spent on my account.
I hope not. I hope not.
But we'll kick it off to make you guys look better. My apparently, I'm looking at about $19,000.
Wow,
is they're calculating the value of my account is.
Really quick, we used a site called SteamID.pro. This is what we're using. And so for those of you that are playing the home game, if you want to go look at your own, SteamID.pro. And yeah, it gives you an approximate value based on, I guess, like the current market value, right? The current like listed price or something. And you said what? How much? How much, Wolf?
$19,113.
Okay.
That's a down payment on a house right there.
Yeah, it is. I have not. Now my account is 2 weeks away from being 14 years old.
Yeah.
So we're talking like, I've had games gifted to me. I've had tons of bundles, tons of just free games, games that were bought like on deep discount. We're talking like, 80% off, 90% off. I jumped for those a lot. And then even in the early days of like the major sales, when they did like the first Steam winter sale and the first Steam summer sale, they had things that you could sort of like the first winter sale, they had the lumps of coal.
I want to talk about the sales.
People were trading stupid amounts of things for just these lumps of coal to try and win, because at the time, each lump of coal you had at the end of the sale was an entry into winning every single game in the Steam library at the time.
Mm-hmm.
What year was this? Do you think it was?
Clamoring for these. 2011.
Okay, so probably
2010 or 2011. I want to say 2010.
Probably like a quarter of the library today, right?
It was 2011. Oh. It was. I remember now. And yeah, like it was 2,000 some odd games, but there wasn't a ton of indie on the platform at the time. It was a lot of big ticket games. You know what I mean?
Right.
So people were just obsessing over this. So I probably scored like 25 games from lumps of coal that were anywhere from like $10 to $40 games.
Yeah.
Just because I was logging into my account and my wife's account, who was not my wife yet at the time, and just scoring these up and trading them off to people. I'm like, free games, yeah.
By the way, I'm going to suggest, and I know the problem is my wife is already in chat. I'm going to suggest you don't have your wives listen to this episode so that they understand how much value is in your account. Especially you, Wolf. Especially you, Wolf.
Luckily,
We're
my
talking
wife
about
asked,
it.
my wife
I'm
asks what we're
joking.
talking about, and that's the extent of it. So we're
Yeah.
good. She didn't need to know how much this.
I'm joking, of course. I know that, like, I know probably half of my library is bundles, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, there are very
Mine's
few
for
games
co-op.
I've actually purchased full price on Steam.
Yeah.
And those are the ones, they're usually $20, $30
Oh.
games at that point because I'm like, I'm really excited about this.
It's
Right.
actually a rare game that I pay full price for. It really is, because I know, like, wait a month and a half, 2 months, and it's going to be on sale, right? I mean,
It's not even that anymore. You've got
yeah.
you've got official key resellers, right? Not key
Yeah.
resellers, but key sellers, key
Right.
stores, right?
Like
So I'm not
G2A
talking
and-
about like your
yeah.
G2A and your
Yeah,
Kingwin.
okay.
I'm talking about stuff like Fanatical, Green Man Gaming, you know.
Mhm.
They're
Right.
and Humble Bundle, because Humble Bundle also has the Humble Store where you could just go buy a legit key for your
Yeah.
game. It's not somebody got the key and then sold it to you.
Right.
It's an official store that key isn't generated until you've bought it.
Right.
So a lot of them, like, it's super easy to just find deals.
Yeah.
There's been numerous websites to this over the years, and mine switches over time from one to another to another.
Sure.
And it's super easy to find freebies, deals,
Yeah.
bundles, whatever. And you know, it's rare that I pay more than 75% of a price for a game.
Oh, for sure.
And
Right.
even then, a lot of times, like, that's me thinking like, okay, I actually wanted the Humble Choice this month. That's what they offered me a deal for
Mhm.
$6. Okay. I only wanted this one game, but this
Mhm.
one game for $6 is still a steal. It's like
Right.
90% off right now. So,
Right.
okay, you know,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Steam has trained me. So an example. So I backed the BattleTech game on Kickstarter. And I got I got my copy. And now it's funny. I have the DLC in my wish list on GOG, because I own it on GOG. And it comes up every once in a while. It's like, this thing on your wish list is on sale. And it has never dropped below 50% off. And Steam has trained me that I'm like, 50% off. I'll just move on. Like literally, like,
Yeah.
it'll come up later. And it still has never gone below 50%. And I'm just like, no, Steam has told me that it'll be 75% off someday, right?
Someday.
Yeah, that there's truth to that. There's reality to that for the most part. It's funny. There was I used to get the Squaresoft games. I'd wait until they were like 75% off or more.
Mhm.
Right.
I'd be like, all right, I'll swing for that Final Fantasy I want on Steam now. 75, 80% off, sure. And then at some point, Squaresoft was like, yeah, that's not going to happen anymore. We're only going to go down as low as 50%.
Yep.
And so I buy a lot less Squaresoft games now because of that.
Right, because Steam trained you. Steam and Valve trained you that 75% is like the threshold, right? Like, to me, that's always the threshold, is like, oh, is it 75% off? Sure, I'll buy it for $10, right?
I do this exact same thing with my 9-year-old. He's like, hey, I want this
Training
game.
him right.
And I'm like, all right, let's see if there's a deal. So we go and check the, gg.deals. Like, all right, is there a deal? I'm like, okay, it's full price on Steam, but it's 50% off on that store. Let's buy it from that store.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we're looking for a deal, kiddo.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like, I'm like, you just missed the sale. We got to wait like a month.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, because it's a $50 game. I'm like, I don't want you to blow all your money on this. Let's give it a month. If you still want it in a month when it's on sale, we'll get it. Okay.
You
And then all of a
imagine
sudden it's
having
90% off, and he's like, wow, okay, my money went a lot further.
Yeah.
you imagine having games in the fucking 90s and 80s that were 90 goddamn percent off after a month or so? You know what I mean?
Right.
RPGs I've spent money on as a kid for my Sega or my Nintendo
Okay.
that were at $80 for fucking Phantasy Star 4. Get big.
Right?
I bought
remember
these.
that.
I bought
That's
the
92,
Bard's Tale.
man.
I bought the Bard's Tale games in the 1980s, right? And of course, we're talking games were $30, $35. I mean, you take into account inflation, that's probably a $60, $70 game today.
Right.
They never went on sale, right? You
Right.
went to the store and
Right.
you bought them for the value, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and that's pretty cheap because I don't know about like for PC gaming prices, but I know for the NES games were still $50, $60, $70 sometimes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mario
And back
3
then,
came out. That was a $70 game.
That's more than a lawn mowed. That's a
Yeah.
few fucking lawns
Yeah.
mowed, right? I mean,
Yeah.
and I think that's where the problem with my spending power comes from when I drop into Steam, because I'm always thinking, it's $60. Do I want it for $60? Like, there's few games that I've purchased like pre-release stuff. Like if it's Squaresoft or Sunsoft, it's Final Fantasy, I'm probably going to drop it early because I'm an idiot when it comes to that crap, right? That's just the way I work. I know what games I like. Sea of Stars, I wanted that thing pre-release. I wanted that shit hella fast, and it did not release fast enough for me to pick that crap up, right? So but most of the time it's like, shit's $80 still, or that's $50 for that. Now I'm even getting as bad as Sinister. I'm like $29.99.
It's only 50% off. It's only 50% off.
And it's like, so I just looked up the inflation calculator for Mario 3. $70 back then in 1988 is $180 now.
Oh,
nobody's spending $180 on a game unless it comes with like all the collectibles and a statue. And
I better get a fucking statue with that. There better be a Mario statue and the goddamn raccoon suit.
Where's my goddamn fire-breathing Bowser? Come on.
Yeah. That shit better light up and be animated.
All right, so Jake brought something up in chat that I did want to talk about, and that is Steam sales have not been as good recently. And that's something that I recognize because when I first got into Steam and they started doing the holiday sale and the summer sale, and they had the whole system where you had to watch. Y'all remember this. It was like, this is going to go on sale.
Every 8 hours.
Yeah, and this is going to go like, and you sat there and you refreshed your browser, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And I remember the super deep discounts. And what it is today is they basically just do across the board and they call it good, right? I mean, what goes 50% off at the beginning of the sale is still 50% off at the end, at the end of the sale, right?
But on top of that, in their defense, I think we have more sales throughout the year than we did, say, summer sales coming up. We all know winter and summer sale are coming.
Yeah.
We know when that shit hits the fan, or spring
winter,
sale.
Summer,
we know when that
fall,
shit's
spring.
in it. Yeah. I mean, any
Tuesday.
season, Tuesday sale,
Chinese New Year, like
they've got they got all kinds. They got Capcom sale right now. They're doing
Golden
a Call
Week.
of Duty sale. I mean,
Ramadan
They have sales for fucking anything. Sales that end with
right
Y.
now it's the Sega Wonderland sale, up to 85% off for Sega games. So
they're
doing.
There's a big sale happening constantly.
They're like Gabe Newell ate a burger sale, like
Someone drove by my house sale. I mean, it's just there's more sales going on, but they're targeted to like developers instead of, we're going to take everything on the site and dumb it down. We're going to do this year, like you said, like the golden sale, like the Golden Dragon sale or whatever. That was all like Capcom related stuff. And it was right before Street Fighter 6 came out. So they're like, this new game is releasing. Let's do a discount on some of the stuff that's coming out. And it's, it doesn't fluctuate like it used to. It's just, you can get Street Fighter 5 for $9 this week.
Yeah.
When it's
the Golden Week sale. Like a lot of these sales, like, there's the major ones like spring, summer, fall, winter, and then New Year and all that, right?
The summer
New Year, Chinese, Chinese New Year sale or something like that. They do all these things, right? But then you get the focused ones, and Golden Week generally focuses on Japanese developers because Golden Week, I know, is a Japanese thing, and I looked it up in the past. I'm sorry, I can't remember what it's about right now, but it's Japanese derived. So when you get
Mm.
Golden Week, it's usually Bandai Namco, Capcom, Squaresoft, something like that, a
Right.
Japanese developer. But that's kind of cool though, because all of a sudden you don't think of a sale coming up, and it's like, boom, Golden Week, Bandai Namco, and I'm like, I did want that Tales game.
Yeah.
From Soft, here I come. Who wants
Yeah.
some goddamn Dark Souls?
Yeah. So coming back around, what was the topic we wanted to talk about now? Because I've forgotten.
We're just praising. We were talking about what'd you call it? Analysis paralysis, which
Analysis
is
paralysis.
Yeah.
So coming around.
The amount of games on your account.
So really quick, I want to say my approximate value. I'm sorry, Wolf. My approximate value. Close your ears, Nancy. My approximate value is $8,616. And I've been a Steam member longer than you have.
Yeah, you know what? That's it. There's a good thing to mention right there. Actually, my first Steam game was not even purchased by me.
Oh, really?
It was. You've probably seen him in Discord here and there. It was Drake. He wanted to play Dead Rising 2, I think it was. He wanted to, so it was like 2009. So I think that was Dead Rising 2. He wanted to play that, and I was like, all right, let's do it. So he bought me a copy of not Dead Rising, Left 4 Dead.
Left 4 Dead. Okay.
L40. Or whatever Left 4 Dead came out in 2009. I don't know if that was 1 or 2. But he wanted to play that, and I was like, all right. So he gifted me. I had to go install Steam. I had to download the game, try to play it. My internet was spotty, so it was a janky as hell experience. My computer was like, I had to lower the settings way down to make it playable. But that was my first game. That's where I started with Steam. And it honestly, that experience with Steam, it kind of turned me off to Steam a little bit because it was so janky. So I played some Left 4 Dead with them and then just kind of stopped touching it for a while because I was still buying physical games.
Yeah.
Right.
And
I was the same
way. Probably took another year and a half for me to come back to Steam and be like, all right, let me check this out. I think it was around when Humble Bundle started doing its thing, or just before, is when I really started checking out Steam again. And I think it was because of that first Humble Bundle they did, or one of the early ones, that I got Braid. And I was like, okay, cool. So that was really the jumping off point. And it was like $1 to get all these games, right? So what's probably accounting for $200 or $300 of my account value was $1. So
right.
Okay, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to say, we're talking about first games, and I was trying to figure out what my first game was, because I was hoping that one of these database sites was going to have my order of purchase, right? But I haven't been able to find it. You can
actually find that out. You have to go into your Steam.
Okay.
Up at the top right, click on your username and click account details.
Okay. Account details.
From there, you go to, where was it? It's in here somewhere.
View purchase history.
Yeah, view purchase history right at the top right there.
View purchase. Oh, wow. Okay.
And then you're going to have to scroll all the way down.
Yeah.
Load more transactions. We're going to keep going here. Yep. Load.
I got to go a while.
See, so my account is not the same account that I started with, because when I started using Steam back in the mid 05s, 06s, I had forgotten the password and everything, because for a big chunk of change there, I was doing console gaming, so I didn't have a PC to run it on. So when I got it back, I was like, I don't remember any of my goddamn passwords for this thing. So according to this, my newest account I've had since 2017, and Hollow Knight, Alien Isolation, and Pony Island are the first 3 games that I purchased in right around my birthday of 2018.
So I have a feeling that mine, because maybe I kind of wonder because it says my first purchase is in 2010, but I've been a member since 2005. So I wonder if either A, it doesn't go back beyond 2010,
maybe.
Or if I was just either playing the free games or whatever, because I remember I was a huge Team Fortress fan when it was a mod to Quake. And I definitely picked up Team Fortress 2. And that game came out, Team Fortress 2 came out in 2007. And I joined Steam in 2005. So I still came out. I still was. Anyway, it says my first purchase was Braid and Torchlight. And I know for a fact that I got those on a Humble Bundle.
There you go.
So.
See, it lies.
Um,
You guys are telling me I'm a liar, and it's lying to you. Lies.
I'm looking at this right now, and it does go back before 2010 because it shows my first game, Left 4 Dead, September 29th, 2009.
Okay. Well, I was adding things in before then for sure. So
Lies.
yeah.
Lies.
But
Sorry, because I bought Half-Life 2, and Jake was talking about how much he hated Steam when it first came out because of having to hook up Steam when you first bought Half-Life 2 on a physical copy and all that stuff. And I had to do the same goddamn thing. So I've had Steam for at least as long as Half-Life 2 has been out, because that was another game that I was like, I'm buying this shit as soon as it's released. And so we did. Funny enough, Hollow Knight, Alien Isolation, and Pony Island were only $65 together. So there you go. There you have it.
Yeah, it seems like they've truncated some of the things from your purchase list, because it used to show key activation times. Like you activated the key for a game, but it didn't cost you anything. And it's not showing that anymore.
Yeah.
That I see. So.
Well, I have a feeling.
Interesting.
I mean, TF2 came out in 2007. I've been a member since 2005, so I had to have been playing something before then. But I definitely remember TF2 was one of my earliest, because I loved Team Fortress when it was a Quake mod. So, yeah. Okay. So analysis paralysis. So really quick, I have, where's my number of games here? There's a way.
You gotta go look at your game collector showcase.
Okay, I have, it's in here somewhere.
Game collector showcase. There we go. 213. Oh, sorry. 224 apparently is what I have.
224 games owned?
Yep.
What about DLC?
That's probably not DLC counted.
No, it shows right next to it under the game collector. It says games owned and DLC owned.
Okay, where do I see this?
You have to go to your account, click add a showcase or change one of your showcases, and then it'll show you there.
Okay, so go to my profile, you mean?
Yeah, go to your profile.
If
it's not on there, click edit profile.
So
I have what is it? Featured showcase.
Edit profile.
And then it'll tell you.
Featured showcase. Okay.
And then for none selected, just scroll all the way to the bottom. Game showcases, like second from the bottom, or game collector level. It'll tell you.
Okay, I have 558 games.
Here we go.
I have 855 DLCs.
Okay, yeah, I have 213 games owned and 152 DLCs.
I don't know how this happened. I have 1,444 games owned and 765 DLCs.
How did this happen?
So I think
where am I?
I think the takeaway from this episode is that
we have a problem.
Is that Wolf won Steam. Wolf won Steam.
Or laws.
Wolf is Steam. Wolf is Steam.
Yeah.
You mean one.
Yeah, are you sure you didn't get the lump of coal and get the entire Steam library?
At least from 2005 on.
I wish.
Jesus.
Well, so analysis paralysis, and this is real, right? We talk about playing games all the time, and I do play games. I play a lot of games, but it's really strange that I keep going back to kind of the same subset of games. I look at my library and I'm like, I don't know what that is. because I probably got it in a bundle
Yep.
somewhere.
Yep.
And I go
remember
look
getting
at the store page store page, and I'm like, I'm gonna go play. I'm gonna go play Pulsar, or I'm gonna go play Civ 6, or I'm gonna go play Baldur's Gate 3 or whatever, right? Or of course, as I mentioned, Slay the Spire. So, but there really is a situation where you're like, I'm gonna go play a game, and you go look at your library, and you kind of stare at it, and then you're like, I'm gonna go read the web, and then you go to bed.
Yeah. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
That does happen.
What are
Yes.
friends on Discord doing?
Yeah. Yeah. Who can I chat with instead of playing this? Instead of trying to figure out what I want to play.
Yeah.
So
it's funny because I kind of thought the Steam Deck would alleviate that a little bit. And a little bit it does, but a little bit of that is still not a lot.
Well, and really what you do with the Steam Deck is I go back to the same 6 games, right?
Right.
Well, so for me, I've kind of been trying to do this thing. This started some years ago because you guys have heard me say numerous times, I have the game, I played the game, I never beat the game, I got through a lot of it, didn't beat it, didn't finish it.
That's my life.
It's the way I gamed for years. So I try not to do that anymore. Now it's, if I'm playing a game, unless it sucks, I want to at least, feel like I've done what needs to be done in the game. And that is, if I get sick of doing numerous runs through a roguelike, okay. If it's, beat the final boss, all right, fine. And there's been a few games that I haven't been able to do that with, like the Wii U Paper Mario game was not good. I tried. It didn't work. This is something I try to do now, is when I pick up a game, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to play this game and beat it.
Yeah.
And so, since May, I was playing Zelda, and then I stopped playing that for a time just to get through Final Fantasy VI and get my Sisyphean game for the year out of the way. Then I went back to Tears of the Kingdom again, finished it, and did that just in time to play Sea of Stars. But now that I'm done with Sea of Stars, I'm like, okay, do I play Baldur's Gate? I had intended before all this before I finished Zelda, I was like, all right, I'm moving through this game pretty quick when I first got it. So I was like, I'm going to go play Final Fantasy 12 next. So I picked up 12 for the Switch. Now, do I want to play Final Fantasy 12? Do I play Baldur's Gate 3? Do I go back and play The Messenger just because I just finished Sea of Stars?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So even when I don't have the analysis paralysis of there's so many games in my library that I could play and haven't, what do I play? It's like, I'm down to 3. What do I play? I don't know. And then I don't.
Yep.
I have locational paralysis, it seems. Because I'll be like, you know what? I'm just going to play it on the Steam Deck. I'm going to sit down and play it in the bed, or I'll play it over here. I'll do whatever. And I'm like, I really want to see this on my monitor. I really want to see this in my office. I want the headphones on. I want the full experience of playing this thing and get totally immersed into it, because it's hard to do that on the Steam Deck because you got shit going on around you. And 90% of the time, you got a TV on and you're not watching the show, or your wife's watching TikToks next to you or something. There's something that's distracting that you can't fully immerse yourself into what you're doing. Baldur's Gate's one of those. I've been trying to play it on my Steam Deck, like right before bed. And Sinistress put this very elegantly. Do I have the mental energy to focus on this game right now with all the stuff that's going on? Because I'm getting into Baldur's Gate finally, like I'm getting into it. But the first couple weeks was very difficult because I'd be like, I'm going to come home from work and sit down and I'm going to fire it up. And then there's too much going on and I can't pay attention to it. So what am I going to play? Let's play this.
Vampire Survivors.
Nope. Yeah. Play this. Nope. Time wasters. All right. Time wasters for the next 3 hours. And that's what we do. Or lately it's been Binding of Isaac, a lot of Binding of Isaac. And this is mindless, stupid. If I die, I could start over and just keep going. Like there's just so much. It feels like there's too much thinking power that needs to be put in invest into anything that, that's newer right now. And I've been trying to play, like, last night I was going to come home and do a couple recordings of Armored Core 6 and I passed out on the couch.
Right.
So it's just like, what is the best way to get use of your shit? That's just playing simple, mindless, slay the spires, dungeons, things that you can easily just fire up, end, and then walk away from when you're done with it. It's not like I need to know what happens next. I need to know what this decision makes. Oh shit, I made the wrong decision. Do I want to save scum and turn that back? Fuck, what do I do? And but with Isaac, I'm like, oh, I'm dead. Okay, I want to go through again.
See, that's
oh, go ahead.
That's not a problem. I'm sorry, Sinistar, but that's not a problem I have just because of how my household is. There's a lot of times, and this is why I played a lot on the Switch before the Steam Deck, even though I have a PS4 Pro, I've got the PC. There's a lot of Switch because at least the Switch, I can sleep it, walk away, come back.
Yeah.
Right.
I had a boss fight in Sea of Stars that took me like 4 different sit down sessions to beat, just because every time I'd fire it up, I'd get a couple turns in, and I'd be like, I need to go do that. Sleep it, walk away, come back, play a little more. Can you do this for me? All right. Sleep it, walk away, come back. So the Steam Deck lets me do that. It's just some games it's harder. Like I did it with Sea of Stars, but I don't know that I can do that with like Baldur's Gate 3.
Ironically, you can save in the middle of a conversation and walk away from the save.
I have done that actually.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then that's what we were discussing beforehand, which I won't talk about on the show. Sorry, YouTube. But I have a decision to make that could make my evening with the player go a certain way. So I saved it literally with whatever answer I had in mind. And I went, I'll tackle this later.
Listen, it's in Baldur's Gate, it's the thirsty save scum. It's the thirsty save scum.
It is the thought scum.
Am I gonna hook up? Am I gonna hook up with Lizelle tonight? I don't know. Save.
Right? How do I feel tomorrow? Let me see how I feel tomorrow. I might have a headache tonight.
Am I going to do it tonight? Not in this timeline. We'll save it here and create another timeline for later.
I'm going to go wash my hair in this timeline. I'm busy.
No, I would argue that a lot of this analysis paralysis, and I don't know, maybe this is a hot take, but I argue that it's an adult problem as well, because, Sincer's brought up, do I have the mental energy to, learn this new thing or try this new game? And I remember as a kid, it was literally like, I have the new thing. I've got all the energy. I'm just going to do it. Right. But the rub that you run into as a younger person is I don't have the money. And I wish I had the money, and the adults have the money. And now as an adult, it's like, well, I've got the money, but time.
I got the time. Yep.
or really more importantly, energy.
Right.
So
like time and energy go hand in hand, right?
Yeah. Like I've now worked, 8.5 hours of a day. And it burned me out mentally because, I work a mental job. And it's like, once again, I understand Slay the Spire and it has 20 mechanics and that's all it has. And I can just, where like Baldur's Gate, it's like, I'm deciding a fight for 4 characters. Okay.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
This is literally going to turn this game on its head. I'm not in the mood for that tonight. And you stare at a computer all day. So you're already like, you separate work from home, right?
I do. So
I do that at work, but I also get up and I walk around and I do other things while I'm at the job. But you are literally inundated with your PC.
Yeah.
And my buddy Optic, who is, he works in IT, so he does the same shit where he'll be like, I have to like differentiate between this is my work PC. So when I'm done with my work PC, I get up and I move to my fun PC so I can separate the 2 tasks that are being done. Yeah. So he's in a different position in his office, in his house versus, what he would be at work all day.
I do the same thing.
It's the little mental things.
I do the same thing. So Brandon McGinnis brings up, how do you even sleep at night? That's another episode.
Yeah. That's not the Steam episode.
Well, there's something to that. I rob myself of sleep at night.
Yep.
I get up with I get up with the wife and kid in the morning because I got to get up and, we have breakfast. I help the kid get ready. I have him start his day. His school day is at home. He does virtual schooling. So I'm helping him while also accomplishing household tasks because I'm the stay-at-home parent. The
Mhm.
wife works right there. I'm upstairs doing dishes, taking
Yeah.
out the trash, cleaning up after the
Right.
pets, helping him do his schoolwork. I'm doing all this stuff. So a lot of times my best moment for gaming is the wife just passed out in bed and I'll stay
Yep.
up an hour or two and
Yep.
just play in
Yep.
the bed next to her.
Yep.
And so it's like, hopefully I'm not playing something that requires a lot of clicking. No
She
button
hits the
mashing
silent
games.
You need to
Mashing games.
you need to buy a set of buttons for the Steam Deck that are like quiet.
And then like
Yeah.
the games, like it's funny because like I actually did like when a game has touchscreen elements more than having to hit the buttons, I'm like, okay, we're touchscreening tonight.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
touch screen kind of night.
Slay the Spire, move the card from
Yeah.
here to here.
And you're still worrying that sliding noise is a little
The
too much.
scraping sound.
Oh no, we sleep with the AC on. She's got a fan, so there's
perfect.
some white noise there.
Yeah.
But if I'm
All right.
click,
Yeah.
she's not sleeping.
So, okay. So before we go super long, because we're at 50 something minutes at this point.
Yeah.
Jake did want to hear at least my take on why I support Steam over other launchers, and I'm willing to have that conversation if we want to.
Yeah.
Okay. So go ahead.
There are let's preface this with the other launchers that people probably use, right? So you got Steam, then you've got Epic Game Store, you've
Yeah.
got GOG and they have a launcher if you want to
Origin.
use it, you don't have to.
Yeah.
Which is GOG Galaxy, and then
Yeah.
you've got Origin, which has
Origins,
now
yep.
just become
EA
EA
Play
app,
or
I don't know.
something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's confusing because it's still Origin on Mac. I
Yeah.
don't get it, but we'll rebrand part of the market.
Yep.
Screw you, Apple.
But I mean, those are kind of the big ones on PC, and calling Origin a big one is being generous. I mean, you've got also Ubisoft Connect.
Well, and Blizzard.
You've got some others.
Right.
You've
but-
got BattleNet, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you've
you got
got
BattleNet.
BattleNet, and I do
Yeah.
have all these installed. And then like you've even got stuff like the Rockstar Games launcher, and
Which
I
bought my GTA 5 through the Rockstar launcher, right?
that's how I have
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you've got I've got the Amazon Games launcher.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
I
I
have
have
a
that too.
ton of
Yep.
games through
get
that,
that with
because
Twitch.
of Twitch.
Brandon brings up
So-
Xbox, store, right?
Yeah, I might have a couple games through there. I mostly only use that when I actually subscribe to Game Pass, which is like every couple years I'll get a month or two.
Yep. So
Yep.
Jake wanted to hear Jake, I think, really wants to hear why I'm not a big fan of Epic. I have never installed Epic. I don't have an Epic account. So I am dropping free games on the floor. Every day I am apparently dropping free games on the floor.
You are.
I know I am. But I have a couple quandaries. First off, I am pro disruptive, but I feel like Epic, I really disliked what Nintendo did with Nintendo exclusives during the NES days. And Epic is doing that again, right? Epic is doing that again with, their engine, and you get 6 months or a year or whatever. And they're only taking 18%, something low, right? 15% or something.
Yeah, they take less of a cut than Steam.
Yeah, for the first whatever, right? But it's an exclusive. And honestly, I really dislike supporting exclusives. So there's a reason I don't have BattleNet installed. Besides, the issues with Blizzard.
The Blizzard issues, yes.
Yeah.
And
go ahead.
I agree with that. That's kind of a problem. The
Mhm.
fact that, doing the platform exclusive, I'm not a huge fan of that if it's not a first party game. I get it when it's first party, like not putting Mario Kart on all your competitors' platforms.
Sure.
Fair, I get it. But like when Sony has a big problem with this. Final Fantasy 16 is not on anything but PlayStation because of that, right?
Right.
And sometimes it seems like it's going to be a good idea, and sometimes it bites you in the ass. Again, Squaresoft, we just learned, lost $2 billion in valuation because 16 didn't sell as well as they'd hoped.
Right.
So maybe it's not necessarily good for the developer in all cases either. And of course, that's very depending. It's probably a lot more beneficial to indie developers than it is to major studios. But at the same time, like I'm not opposed to it because ultimately it's still my Windows PC.
Oh, for sure. And once again, like before we go too far, I want to express, this is a personal opinion. I have no problem with anybody going and installing Epic on their machine and getting their free games. I really don't. Like, actually, it's cool. I'm glad you guys are getting free games, right? But I guess I'm voting with my non-wallet because they're free. But the other the worry that I have, and I'm kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop, is, I've worked in the internet space as a server administrator, a network administrator, etc. And the money that Steam is charging, the percentage that they are taking, they are genuinely putting back into projects that help their product and other products like the Steam Deck, the Valve Index, et cetera, right? And so to me, if there's an R&D and a cost budget, I fully support it. If you look at brick and mortars take a greater percentage than Steam does, right? I mean, they sell, I think it's like 100% markup. Like they're buying the product at 50% of the price, right? And MSRP. And it feels like Valve is pushing the industry forward. And when I mean that, I'm talking Steam Deck, I'm talking Valve Index, I'm talking more than that, because Proton is Linux across the board. It doesn't matter if it's Steam Deck or something else. They feed back into Vulkan, they feed back into other drivers, they feed, and they are doing a lot of work. And so to me, the 30% or whatever they're charging, that's fine. That's actually normal. And I really worry that the other shoe is going to drop with Epic, and maybe in a year or two I'll decide I'm wrong, but I feel like Epic's going to be like, okay, here's the drug dealer thing is done. Like the first one's 18%. Well, now it's 30 because what's funny is we're paying for content delivery networks, we're paying for bandwidth, we're paying for blah blah blah, right? And
right, but then they're going to have a hard time scoring exclusives that way when it's the same deal as Steam, except Steam gives you the discussion forums, it gives you the review system, it gives you all these things that Epic doesn't yet. And I believe I mentioned this in the Discord the other day with just you guys, is that as of right now, it seems smart that Epic isn't investing in that stuff because they're not taking as big a cut of the games. They don't have, they're not putting the resources into it that Steam did, that Valve did into Steam. But eventually, if they want to be the new Steam, they're going to have to. At some point, it's going to have to change up and become an imitator instead of a disruptor.
And there was the other side of it where, I mean, this was unofficial. Nobody claimed officiality here, but when Epic came out, there was no review system for users, right? And basically the unofficial word, supposedly from internal, was go put your review on Steam, right? And that was some BS. Like that was some crap, right? I was like,
that's what I was referring to, is it kind of came to light that they were like, we don't need that because Steam has it.
Yeah. Right. Come pay the 18% or give the, whatever here, or get your free game, but go do everything else on Steam and cost Steam money. Right.
I mean, but you gotta think of the comment system. How many times has a rating system from my peers have swayed me from picking something up? I wanted to buy Last of Us for fucking months, and it finally got released, and it got such terrible reviews on PC port that you guys got it for me for my birthday, but that's not the point. The point is that I was going to buy it, but it swayed me away from doing that. If you're on Epic with nobody ranking or rating anything on there, and I'm like, I'm going to buy Alan Wake 2 because I'm super excited about Alan Wake, and it turns out to be a shitty game. I don't know about that because no one warned me about it. So I'm going to fly in and get it on a knee jerk. So Epic's kind of almost leaning on that knee jerk. Hey, I've been waiting for this game to come out. It's out now. Instead of going to Steam and be like, I've been waiting for this game, you open the game up. The first thing you see is it good? Mixed reviews, very positive, very negative, and they're color coordinated so it catches your eye. So unfortunately, I see it when it's brown or when it's red, and I go, I don't think I'm going to buy that today. But if I go to Epic or if I go to GOG, I'll be like, yo, this game that's shit that I had no idea. A Daymare 1985 is on sale. I'm going to pick that up. Yeah. And then I go to Steam and they're like, you shouldn't have spent $30 on this game, you idiot. Yeah. So, I mean, it's a good way to protect your sales. But wouldn't we say that Steam is the epic game launching / digital store that's out there right now for gamers? I mean, I can't say that's not the case, but I knew more about Steam than I do about anything else until I really started, gaming for you guys.
The other thing I have a concern about, and this is on me to research, and I just haven't because I've never felt like I need to install the Epic Launcher. But the other thing that concerns me is these free games. Are they hurting the developers or they're helping the developers, right? Like, what's the agreement, right? What's the agreement that like Epic is like, okay, we can list this for a week for free, but you get 0 sales. Like, I don't know, right? So I need to look into that.
They generally get a lump sum, period.
Okay.
And
so there's some.
It's kind of agreed upon behind closed doors with each individual publisher, or developer and publisher. It's like, okay, we'll give you this much to put your game up for free this week. And it's kind of agreed upon. So I'm sure it's haggled back and forth a little bit until they come to a mutual agreement, or if they don't, they just don't, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So in some cases, it's games that have been out for a long time. So these companies are probably getting a nice influx of money that they weren't getting before.
That's fair.
And for some, it's, maybe it's a game that reviewed really well, didn't sell really well. So again, influx of money.
Yeah.
And then for some, it's in some cases, it's, I've got at least 339 games on my Epic account.
Yeah.
And I've probably played about 12 of them. So it's not like me acquiring the game there has done any real damage to these companies that it wouldn't have otherwise, know?
Right.
It's just another legal means of getting it. But a lot of times these are dupes. I have Fallout New Vegas on Steam. I have Sims 4 on Steam and Origin.
Right.
I have Guacamelee and Guacamelee 2 on Steam, but I also have them on Epic. So these are games that I've bought before on Steam that now I have free again.
Sure.
Just on another platform. And I mean, it's not necessary, but it's not hard to just click, click, free game. So.
Well, before I forget, I want to talk about what is it? My third point, my fourth point, whatever point. I've lost count of what point I'm on.
Your final point.
Yeah, my final point is to me, by the time Epic came around, I had already hit launcher fatigue. And, I had Steam. Steam was great. Steam provided the DRM that we talked about that was great, etc. Oh, well, now I want EA games because I love, Paradise Paradise City, whatever the racing game, right?
Burnout
Paradise.
So, okay, well, now I have Origin. Okay, well, now I'm going to buy, whatever of Amalur. I can't remember the name of that game. I'm going to buy these things on this launcher.
Of Amalur.
Yeah, I have StarCraft and StarCraft. I have StarCraft and StarCraft 2. Well, now I have BattleNet. And I have GOG. Cool. GOG Galaxy I actually appreciate, but still, we're now another launcher. Oh, well, now I have Ubisoft launcher. Well, now I have a Rockstar launcher. And here comes Epic, and I'm like, I give up.
Get fucked. You're the last one to the door, bud. Sorry, we can't hold anymore.
Yeah. I'm
so ran out of tickets.
And then EA's like, we're out. Go buy us on Steam. Cool. Like,
Sweet. Delete. Move over.
yeah. So I don't know it, and that's on me. I admit that that's on me. But like when I'm installing a new computer or whatever, and I'm installing my OS, I'm like, what launchers do I need to install? Okay,
Yeah. Where are all my games at? That's the worst part, is trying to remember where your games are at on which fucking launcher. Because I swear to you, I bought Control. I wanted to play Control. I have one of them on one of my 18 goddamn launchers, but I got so tired of looking at all the launchers, I said, you know what? I'm going to go play Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
Because it's on Steam and I can find it. Done.
And so
Well, you know what?
That's my last point with Epic. Is Epic to me, it was kind of the last one, and I was like, you know what, guys, too little, too late. Sorry, move on.
Right.
You know.
Right.
Anyway,
Well,
Wolf, what's up?
and that's something that I use GOG for, honestly, right?
GOG combines a whole bunch of them.
Yeah, I actually have the GOG launcher installed because it lets me go in and see like not all of them, but a bunch of your libraries, right? So I'm like, all right, it's usually pretty easy to be like, okay, do I have this game?
Yeah.
So I have it connect, you connect it to Battle.net, you connect it to Origin, you connect it to Rockstar, you connect it to Steam, Ubisoft, Epic, Xbox Live.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, now that I'm in here and I'm logged into all these, let's type this game in. Do I have it? Okay, I have it on that launcher.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Fun.
So there's sometimes like if I check Steam, I'm like, I know I have this game somewhere. So I check Steam. It's not there. All right, we're going to GOG to see.
Fun.
GOG's like the detective of your games.
Yeah.
Fun, very quick segue on Galaxy. When I installed Galaxy and I hooked it to all the accounts that I could, it came up and told me I had 666 games.
Oh, Jesus.
I felt bad buying a game after that. I mean, I did, but it gave me a moment's pause. I'm like, but I like having 666 games.
Yeah. Except I can't play all of them because that's what my wife says. You're going to play them all in one night? Like, yep. Challenge accepted. I'm playing all of them right now.
Yep. No, I at this point I kind of cull down my launchers. Really, when I put my machines together, reinstall my OS. Go full Gibson. When I go full Gibson, really Steam gets installed first, GOG Galaxy gets installed second, and then if I have to, I start installing other launchers. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. See, I'm backwards. I do obviously Steam first, and then I'll do Epic because I have more stuff on Epic than I do everywhere else. Because there are a few games that I was talking with the company, and they unfortunately only had it on Epic, so that's where I had to download it for that. So, but and then everything else is kind of this hindsight. But I live on Steam. I don't go. I typically don't go anywhere else. I'll be like, I wonder if it's selling over here. And then I'll go pop because I'm like, I can't find it on Steam. Like Alan Wake, perfect example. Yeah. I love the first Alan Wake. I'm excited for 2, but it's only available on Epic right now. So, well, it's not now, but it'll be released in October. So I'm like, damn it. Do I want to get it on there?
Coming back to the beginning, as much as I love Steam, I actually favor GOG these days because I get DRM product or DRM free, like completely DRM free, right? So that way I'm not dealing with like an Ubi launcher on top of Steam or, as much as I love Baldur's Gate 3, Larian, what are you doing? Like, get your launcher out of my face, right? I mean,
they want you to turn into a Mind Flayer.
They
launcher
do.
Player.
They do. But
I've already done it.
Well, and while I do like GOG for the reasons you say, I also have a couple issues with GOG that make it to where I don't necessarily go straight to GOG to buy a brand new title.
Right.
Because aside from Cyberpunk, the last time I did that before then was Moonlighter. It was Moonlighter. And I ran into an issue with that where it released on the same day on GOG and Steam. And I was like, well, yeah, I'll get it on GOG because DRM free.
Yeah.
And I ran into a bug that kept causing my game to crash. They fixed it 2 whole weeks sooner on Steam than they did on GOG.
I have run into that.
Super burned.
Yeah, I've run into that. I've run into that where GOG gets the updates, X amount of time later, right?
I'm the Steam homer. I will always be there. The 3 applications I turn on when I turn my PC on: Discord, fucking usually OBS, and Steam. Those are the first 3 things that fire off in my Razer
Yeah.
shit. But
Well, I
I
disable a
always
bunch of the
Steam.
auto
Oh, no,
open on
man.
launch.
I want it on.
And-
I want to know
And
what's coming
Steam
out.
is one of those ones that makes it through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like Steam opens when my computer launches.
Yep.
That's one of
Because
the
it
ones.
knows I want to spend money.
Yeah, Steam
It's got has to spend.
Steam and GOG Galaxy start up on every machine I have. So,
Oh, man, it's
Yeah.
See, I don't even do it with Galaxy. I have to open Galaxy independently. It's literally the only gaming. Well, that's not true. EA does it because I installed that recently and forgot to disable that one. So it just sits there not logged in for hours until I do it right now. Actually, click the little X and it's out of my face for now. But
That's not your fault. That's not your fault.
Yep. Anyway,
Yeah, so Steam is the greatest game launching / software peripheral site there is. So happy 20th birthday, Steam.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean it's so successful that they actually developed their hardware for it, right?
Yeah.
You've got this, like you said, the Steam Index, the Valve Index. They've developed controllers over the years to
with some fits and starts.
Not great success in terms
Right.
of sales, but the tech was cool as hell.
Well, and
it's been implemented heavily into the Steam Deck.
Well, and that's the cool thing is the Steam Link, right? Which was a hardware device originally that you could buy that made it so you could play your Steam. You could hook it up to a TV and Bluetooth a controller to it, or even USB a controller to it and play. And guess what? Now that technology is in every OS. It is in Steam, period. And it's on the Steam Deck. And there's even a Raspberry Pi distribution if you wanted to go spin up a Raspberry Pi as a Steam Link, right? I mean,
wow.
So yeah, so they basically create these very cool products. Whether it fails or not, it has all the value that was successful in it. They're like, let's carry it forward into this other thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Just because our piece of hardware didn't sell doesn't mean the tech behind the hardware is not valuable.
Right.
Like you said, the Steam OS distribution to everything and the Steam Link distribution to everything just makes it that much easier for people to spend money on the platform, right? That's ultimately what it is for them. We can swear by how good Steam is to their customer base all we want. And, 99% of the time it is true, but that's not because they're not driven by money, because they are. It's a private company. They want money, but at least they're not. It's not painfully greedily obvious.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It
seems like there's perks. Yeah.
There's perks. There's market advancements. There's platform advancements that benefit the consumer as well as the corporation. So
you can see the reinvestment, right?
Yep.
You can see the reinvestment. And so
And Valve has really worked to make sure Steam is a good platform for people. Somebody mentioned in the comments earlier that there's a lot of shovelware on Steam, and that really started to pick up steam at the point where they did the whole Greenlight program, right?
Yeah.
So they were getting inundated with people wanting to publish on Steam that they couldn't keep up with in a way. So they did the Greenlight thing where people had to vote. Yeah. It needed so many votes to be able to be accessible after you got allowed on Greenlight. And then it was another thing where like, well, you just have to buy a Greenlight license and then get so much interest and then you're good. And they tried that for a while. It didn't really work out. And so now we're back to just the publisher thing and dealing with Steam, but it seems like they reinvested into that part of their company to be able to handle and manage the distribution requests that they were receiving.
Yeah.
Because they didn't have the manpower for that once upon a time. Now it's such a big platform. It's on so many machines. Well, you've got games that are breaking millions of users concurrently on Steam when they first come out. So yeah, they've got the money to put into that now.
Now, I do want to talk about, like, really quick before we, I don't know how close. Anyway, there are downfalls to Steam, And one of them is that Valve went from being a very good game producer to basically printing money, right? And not make, I mean, yeah, we can talk about Portal 2, Half-Life 2, but like if you look at an Alex, right, and on the Steam Deck, right, the office job simulator, whatever it is, right, the job simulator, but at the end of the day, the greatest thing that Gabe Newell did for his bottom line was stop being a game developer and start being a distributor, right? I mean,
and I mean, like you said, they do a little bit. That Dota 2 still has a following.
Sure.
You know, they still at least strike deals like they did Half-Life Alex. They strike deals about Portal here and there.
Yeah.
Or
I feel like Half-Life
CS:GO.
Alex was designed to showcase the VR headset. Like it's the best game on the VR headset right now, and I don't think there's. And I hate that I played Alex first because it makes me go, God, I wish this looked like Half-Life Alex. You know, I mean, it's built to play in their peripheries. It's built to play on their stuff. So they only need to do it the one time, you know. And of course, Half-Life's going to bring names because it's got name power.
Yeah, and that's one of those things. And this is a discussion all its own. But that's one of those games that I kind of refer to as a full price tech demo.
Sure.
100%,
Because
it's like
100% agree. Yeah.
It's to showcase
the headset, so
it's to showcase the technology of the hardware,
right?
But they still expect people to shell out a bunch of money for it, so they've got to make it at least somewhat interesting, even though it's it's essentially a fancy tech demo. Which I mean, that sounds like it's not giving credit where credit's due, but I mean that happens with Nintendo with every single platform they produce. They've got a game that's pretty cool, but ultimately it's a full price tech demo, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a full game and it's
Wii
got
Sports.
all the aspects to it.
Right.
Yeah. But I mean, you there's a whole story to it. There's like you said, not giving credit where credit's due. It's definitely more than that. But you're right. It is. It was released with the head. When I bought the headset, it came with Half-Life Alex with it. The headset was not cheap, but it came with a free game. But like you said, it's a tech demo because that's the first thing you fire up when you play it. You're like, wow, this is incredible technology. I can't believe I'm actually seeing all this shit, and I'm crushing cans in my bare hands and all this other cool shit. And then I go and play something that's good, equally as good. Like, Phasmophobia was fantastic on VR. You're not crushing fucking cans in your hands with that game. You're barely picking shit up off the ground. So it's just like, it kind of, I wouldn't say it soured everything, but it's just like, I wish it could be as good as this. And it won't be because it's Valve technology,
But I mean, realistically, Valve kind of like it feels like they're like, okay, we'll put out a game. Okay.
Yeah.
Right? Instead of being like, hey, we're a game developer first. Now they're like, yeah, we put a team on it and here's a game.
Yeah.
Now, that said, what they release is high quality. It is.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Like Portal 2. Anyway.
Portal 2 is great.
Yeah. And I want a Portal 3. I so want a Portal 3.
We want a Half-Life 3. I mean,
3.
fuck. Yeah. I want an Alex 2. I'd love another Half-Life VR game.
Wait, more GLaDOS and Cave Johnson, please.
Yeah. Well, and let's be honest, here's the elephant in the room. What we really want, Valve, is Half-Life 3.
Yes. You put it in VR too. I don't give a shit.
I'll play. I want Portal 3.
Okay, I want Portal 3 more myself. You're right.
Fine. So. I'll be the only one that wants Half-Life 3. So that's fine.
Anyway. I think that's kind of covered what I wanted to talk about. Anybody else?
I think it's a solid episode for mainly gushing about the greatest digital game distribution company that's out there on top of cool tech. That
that's not
I
to
never
say they've
thought
not had their growing pains.
Sure.
Well, of course not. I'm not saying they've always been great, but they're great right now. And I when I first was looking at Steam stuff, and they're like, we have a VR set, and I was like, God, that's crazy. I don't know about that. And now I'm glad I have it. And the same thing with the Steam Deck. I was like, God, who would do that? Doesn't seem like that would translate well. And it's the greatest portable gaming system out there.
Wait, looking at your background, it looks like Wolf has a Valve Index.
Does he?
Looking at your background. Yeah.
No,
For
I
those
need to get that.
for
I
those
need to get
listening to the podcast on audio, there's
my
some
room's not set up.
there's some chicanery on backgrounds.
Chard
This-
is using
this
a
is-
green screen and borrowed my background.
Chicanery.
It's my room. I don't know what you're talking about. We live here.
Yeah, you're a
Once the
big
room's
fan of
set up,
Oingo
I'll-
Boingo as well, huh?
Yeah.
Big time. I love these guys. I love Danny Silverman or whatever the hell his name is. That guy's-
Elfman. Oh.
I know. I knew that would hurt you guys.
Ouch.
Okay.
Ouch.
So this has been another press B to cancel.
I love David Silverman. He's so good.
Anyway. Do we want to do housekeeping this week? Do you guys have anything prepared? I can come up with something.
No, I forgot.
Okay. Well,
Go
we
for
can.
that.
thought about
I
it the
still
other
have
day and then
mine.
probably
I have still
forgot.
remembered my top 100, but we can wait until Jake.
Yeah,
gets back.
we can punt, or Chard and I,
I mean,
can
if
talk
you guys
about
are
ours.
good, I can figure something out.
Yeah, I can talk about mine. Chard, you can talk about yours.
It's up to you. We can punt. We can punt. If you guys aren't like you.
No,
don't
I'm
look like
ready.
you're,
I'm ready.
Yeah, let's
Okay.
do it. I'll have
You
something.
want to do it?
Okay. Well,
All right.
I'm going to go first. We've talked about it. Portal. Portal is not on our top 100, and it is now.
What year is Portal?
You know what? I'm
Crap.
hunting mine, and I'm pulling one
2007.
out too.
It doesn't work.
Crap.
Damn it.
It's
'Kay.
too recent.
Well, then I don't have one. Should we punt?
We can punt. Yeah, we can punt. I can give you mine.
I mean, we could.
It's before 2005.
We
Yeah,
could just do one.
Yeah, before 2005.
Okay.
because I got one that's before 2005.
All right.
Go for it.
All right. Well, I was going to do one that was way older, but since we discussed it today and I think it needs to go on there, you guys can blow me. Half-Life needs to go on there. I think Half-Life has done some incredibly great technological advances and cool aspirations in first-person storytelling as opposed to just being a flat-out first-person shooter. It's Valve's fucking beautiful baby that they created. And, Freeman's running around doing his shit, fighting off head crabs and doing all kinds of crazy shit. The modding community that came out to make Team Fortress and all the things that came along with that. Half-Life is a huge pivotal point in gaming. And I would almost go as far to say Half-Life 2, but we're just going to stick to Half-Life because Half-Life has done a lot of cool shit that has, if without Half-Life, Half-Life 2 could not be what Half-Life 2 is. So I believe that Half-Life needs to be on our top 100 because it is great. And that was 1998, if I'm not mistaken.
That seems right. I have one. I came up with one.
Okay.
I'm saving my other one for later.
Okay. My option, and dear God, I hope this is before 2005 because it's on that system right there. The N64.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure it is.
Okay. Dr. Mario 64. We don't have a Dr. Mario representative on the list. And Dr. Mario 64 is my favorite version of Dr. Mario. It plays essentially the same. I just like the graphics on the 64. I like the music on the 64. I like the controller because I have 3 hands. So
It's true. I've seen it.
yeah, you guys, I'm not showing you on the podcast because it's lewd.
Got 7 thumbs.
Yeah, 7 thumbs exactly. My third hand is 5 thumbs. No, Dr. Mario. So Dr. Mario is a great game anyway because it's a match game like Tetris, right? But it doesn't have the tetranomenos, whatever they're called. Tetrominoes.
Sure.
It's literally double-sided pills that have, a color on each side. Sometimes it's the same color. More often than not, it's a different color. You have to match them. In the 64 version, I think this is the case with the earlier versions, but at 2-player, you can mess up your friend or your enemy if you're playing with your enemy. It's one of those cool things where instead of being like Tetris where you build for a Tetris at 4 lines, this one you build to kind of set up, chain events, right? You set up this color is going to go, it's going to release these, it's going to set up this next color. And it's one of the most beautiful things in the world when you get 3 or 4 chains in a row. It feels so good. And as I said,
Especially popping the little viruses. Those are cool.
yeah, and the little viruses dancing around. That's just awesome, right?
Yeah.
And so, and
It's got some good tunes too.
yeah, well, and that's what I love. That's one of the things I love about the 64 version is the tunes are great. Graphics are good. So yeah, Dr. Mario 64. That's my nomination.
All right. Half-Life and Dr. Mario 64. What do you got? Well,
I'm going to go ahead and nominate the original Metroid.
Yes, let's go.
Because we don't have that on the list yet.
Yes.
We've got Zero Mission, which is a remake of the original.
Yeah.
But we don't have
Super
the
on there
original.
too. I thought for sure we don't yet. We're put that
we
one
do
in my
not
hat.
have Super Metroid on there.
Here was the thing. I thought we were avoiding like doing double of certain games. So I think at first, we're getting to the point where it doesn't matter anymore, right? At first it was like, we already have a Zelda on there. Do we really want to put another Zelda on there? So it, now it's no holds barred. Now we're good to go. So I'm glad we know that. So go for it. I 100% support the original Metroid. 100%.
So yeah, I want to nominate Metroid because this was one of those first games that like it did some wild stuff, right? This was one of the first of the Metroidvania style of games. I mean, it's half of the half of the naming style there.
What?
What? What?
Arguably more than half because Castlevania only got Vania. Metroid got all in.
It got 5 letters. Metroid got
100% of the 70% of the name.
Yeah. So Metroid, like it's an iconic formula at this point, and it's its own subgenre, right? Like we don't just think RPG platformers now. It's a Metroidvania. You go in for the actual name there. And then it did some really wild stuff to really take advantage of just how tight the space constraints were on this platform to where they mapped it and like coded tricks in there to make the map larger than it could be.
Oh, for sure.
Like they did some really wild tricks with this to make it fit on such a small space. And the fact that the game's not broken as hell is wild to me. Because a game like that these days, it would have so many post-release patches.
Oh, yeah.
the original Metroid is burly. That is a game and like 4 halves on top of it, right?
So 2 games.
I mean, it's also you had to like either really memorize or map this game out while you were playing it. So it required like 4-dimensional chess of play where you're like keeping track of what you're doing, keeping track of what you found where, mapping the whole thing out if you want on graph paper or something, keeping track of like where the secret passages were, if the secret passage was one way or both ways. It did a lot. And then I think it had a save system in Japan because it was an FDS game and it was ported to the US as a cartridge game, or to the West rather as a cartridge game. So they had to like lose an audio track. They had to lose the save function and instead put in a password function.
Right.
The fact that the password function is so effective is wild to me, given that they changed it from a save function. And then the game is still massive, even though it's cartridge instead of a disc.
Yeah.
I support it.
I kind of feel like maybe it wasn't the original art that did this, but it kind of nice. It kind of
that guy.
It kind of really pushed forward that revisiting when you unlock additional tools, right? Like okay, there's this weird area that I can't get to. I have to be somehow half the height that I am. Oh, look, I found the ball. Now I can go back and, get into this area, right? And I feel like maybe it wasn't the originator, but I feel like it really like honed that in, and there have been so many copies in the Metroidvania world of that mechanism, right?
I mean, taking away the linearness of platforming games and making you have to go back and revisit places that you are literally at the beginning of the game. You have to go all the way the damn back for it. It's like, or being sneaky and putting the final boss stage like underneath where you start the game, but you don't know that till you get all the pieces to come back to do it. It's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
This is on the
And
system
It's
that
trolly, but it's cool as fuck.
this is on the system that had no left move for Mario, right? Like the
Right.
screen literally goes, "Oh, I can't go back
Yeah.
anymore," right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
And the sound design was cool too, because it felt like you were alone on this alien planet.
Yep.
There was a couple of really good
Beep,
tunes, and then the
beep,
rest of it was
beep,
very just
beep.
like ambient,
Mhm.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And the fact that they figured out how to do that with an 8-bit sound chip is wild to me,
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
without it being obnoxious at that.
Right.
So
You had more to say about your game than we had about ours, and we knew what ours were.
I had to come up with mine because my other one was right out.
yeah.
Right.
So anyway, that is our
Yeah.
spiels for our top 100 this week.
Fantastic.
Thank you all for listening to Press B to Cancel. We can be found at pressbtocancel.com or youtube.com/@pressbtocancel. We've got a Discord. We've got multiple links on our website that you can find us at. Please do so. Come join the conversation on Discord. We'd love to hear from people. And yeah, if you're enjoying what you're hearing, hit that like and subscribe button on whatever platform you're on.
Do it.
And
We-
come back again next week.
We have more content too. We've been really trying to hit the content meter here on the page as opposed to just doing this podcast. Wolf has
Yeah.
been doing a wild card Wednesday where he'll pop on and play an hour or two of some random game.
whatever.
Sinistar's doing some Telltale Heart games that he's been wanting to play for a while. I've been doing some Armor Core 6 playthrough and probably some more content that we discussed today that we're going to be adding as a team. Jake's been adding controller reviews. He played Karateka not too long ago. So we're really trying to not just do the podcast. We're trying to take all of our talents and put it into a bunch more into this channel. So
A
you're going to be
full-
getting a lot more stuff when you sub to this channel than just we're doing a podcast every Friday. You're going to be getting a lot more content here in the very near future.
A full
At least
gaming
on the YouTube
media,
channel.
a full gaming media experience.
Exactly.
Awesome.
All right. It's like a sauna.